Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you know that I'm just beginning my deep dive into the Lenormand system. The system which, oddly enough, was not created by Madame Lenormand, right? It was created by a card maker in Germany. It began as the Game of Hope in German, and then to sell it more broadly, they attached the famous name of Madame Lenormand, who was a famous card reader, diviner, psychic, and sold more decks. And also interestingly, the deck moved very quickly to the United States. And in the United States, a whole new name was attached to it for a short time. It was called the Madame Morrow deck. Now, Madame Morrow was, you could say, the United States counterpart to Madame Lenormand. She was a very popular, famous card reader, diviner, psychic. And so to sell cards in the United States, they changed the name. I have the deck that was published under her name, not the actual original deck, but a facsimile of it, and it's a wonderful little deck. Just saying, it's a great little deck. But, so you see, we call it Lenormand, but it goes under many different names. And we're starting my deep dive into that deck. And I've got a spread all laid out for us. You know that every week I ask the same question. How can we live our lives more intentionally in the coming week? And so I've got a spread to help us explore that topic, right? And before we get into that spread, I've got a couple of things I'd like to take care of. First, a little bit of a channel update information, and then we'll draw our attention on the main topic for this week, okay? So, information. First off, remember I told you I'd ordered a table for this, especially for this deep dive, because there are a lot of cards that I need to put down and pick back up and put down and pick back up, and holding them on my lap just does not work. And so I ordered a table, very interestingly, and it has not yet arrived. I thought it would be here last week, but it has not arrived. Something else arrived. On, perhaps it was a Friday, or anyways, it was late in the week. I got a text message saying that the thing I had ordered had arrived at my office. And no, it wasn't a Friday, it was a Thursday. So yes, it was a Thursday. So I had already left my office, and so I imagined I would come to my office the next day and bring in my table and have it ready to use for this video. That night, I've been pulling three Lenormand cards for myself every night, just to keep in practice, just to help expand my ways of reading and looking at the cards. And I got three cards. I pulled three cards. From left to right, I had the tree, the letter, and the scythe. And my first thought, I went right into the most common keyword associations for the cards, which, tree, health, yeah, letter, document, scythe, cutting. So I thought, oh no, is that something about, will I get bad information about my health, my mother's health? Is it something, okay, so the letter can also be a document. Could it be something about health insurance being cut off? What's that trying to tell me? Okay, so I got a little bit worried. And the next day, I came to my office, and there wasn't a table sitting outside of my door. There was a very, very small package. And I thought, what is this very, very small package? I did not order anything like that. I brought it into my office, and it was a brown baseball cap. I was very, very confused. And I went online and I looked at my order, and my order was for the table. I did not make a mistake on that. I ordered the table. And then I saw, I had not really noticed this until I went back to really check my order in careful detail, that part of the description of the table was that it was, in Korean, wonmok, which means it's real wood, which didn't really matter to me. I just wanted something the right size, the right shape, and something that works with a chair, and something that was inexpensive. But then when I saw that wonmok, when I saw that real wood, natural wood, it clicked. Sometimes the cards really do point to something very, very literal, right? Tree is wood, right? The wood contract was broken. My contract, my order, and when you add the cards up when you add the inserts up, you get the number, what is it? It's 25. Yeah, you got 25, which is the ring, which is an agreement. It's also marriage and other things, but it's also an agreement. So all of that stuff really was, I think, about the order that I had made for this wooden thing being broken, that contract. I burst out laughing. I can't tell you how that realization was a wake up, and oh my God, yes, of course, that's what it was talking about. It's not health insurance. It was talking about a very real, practical, the thing you ordered that is wood is being cut. And so now I went in and I put in a request for the thing to be exchanged for the thing that I actually ordered, and I talked to customer service and they said it's all going to be taken care of. I'll get my table eventually. It's not here yet. But see, sometimes the Lenormand is even more practical, even more, what do I want to say? It's less keyword and more literal than I think a lot of us realize. Does that make sense? So that was one thing I just wanted to share with you. My table's not here, it's coming, and I got information about it from my Lenormand deck the night before, that there's going to be a problem. Very, very funny, very interesting. And number 2, you know that I have a community tab open on the channel, right? I hope you check it from time to time. I try to put something up there once a week at least. I've only had it available to us very, very recently. And so, right now we're at the full moon. At the time of this recording, it's the full moon. And you know that I would like to change out my decks on the new moon. So, I have put a poll in the community tab. It should be open the day that this video is uploaded onto YouTube. It's the day it's open. It's published, as they say, on YouTube. So you will have 1 week, because I also need a little bit of time to get the selected deck ready to be used for the next week's video. Yeah? So you will have 1 week to tell me which deck you want me to use, which set of decks you want me to use. I've got 3 options uploaded for you to choose from. One is the Anna K, Lenormand, and Tarot. I think those will work beautifully together. The other is called the Lifeline. I've got the Lifeline Tarot and the accompanying Lenormand as a possibility. The third are 2 decks by Robert M. Place. They're not actual pairs, but I think they will pair very well. One is the Alchemical Magnum Opus Tarot, and one is the Ukjo-e Lenormand. Now, the Ukjo-e Lenormand is a Japanese art-based Lenormand, and the Alchemical Magnum Opus is more Grecian, but I think the art styles will work well together. So, those are my three options that I've got there. There's a fourth option that I wish I could put up there, but I don't think it would work well on YouTube, and maybe some of us might object to it, though I love it. It's called the Sabbath Tarot and the Sabbath Lenormand. Same people created both. The artwork is almost the same. They would work beautifully, but they're very sexually explicit cards. There are a lot of nudity, not only nudity, but there are members which are in an upright position, shall I say, in some of the cards. So, I wish I could use it. I don't think it would be possible here. And in addition, they're also big cards. They're large cards, so getting them on camera and seeing the images clearly might also be challenging. So anyways, I wish I could use it. It's not there. Those other three options are available. You have 1 week to let me know which decks you'd like me to use. Now, the third thing is an experiment. I've seen this happen, or I've seen this work on other channels, and I wonder if it will work for us. Sometimes the little like button is highlighted by like a rainbow aura, which I think is kind of cool. So, how does that happen? When people say, hit the like button, or please like, apparently it happens automatically. So, let's see if it happened. Did it happen for you? Did you notice anything down there? When I said, hit the like button, did it glow for you? If it did, and you have hit the like button, thank you very much. You helped the community. You helped get this video out in front of other people, and you are a blessing for having done that. And for subscribing. If you subscribe, thank you for subscribing. You help the channel, you help other people find the channel and find these videos. And maybe they'll want to watch them too. So, all of that stuff, thank you very much. And friends, it's time to focus. Yeah? You saw the title for this week's video, right? Yeah? I think I'll keep it Anchoring Hope. Why did I choose that title? Well, hope. Now, hope is a powerful thing, right? We say that, very much similar to faith, hope can move mountains. We say that hope can set us free. Yeah, hope can be very powerful. Hope can conquer fear. Hope can conquer depression, or even the feeling of powerlessness. Yeah? Have you ever felt depressed? Have you felt that depression dissolve when you've started feeling even just a glimmer of hope? Yeah, hope and depression cannot coexist, and when they're in the vicinity of each other, hope is going to win out, right? But we also say that hope is fleeting, right? Hope is not always going to be there when we need it. We can feel hope, but oftentimes, after a period of time, we notice that that hope is gone, or that hope has diminished, or we've lost our focus on the hope and we have shifted back into more habitual states of mind, perhaps pessimism, perhaps irritation, perhaps frustration, perhaps other things. Now, maybe we can get back that hope. Maybe we can find a way of moving back up the emotional scale so that we find hope and maybe anchor hope, anchoring hope. And yet we also know that hope is not, if there is an emotional scale, is not the top, right? It's near there, it's close, it's in the right direction, but the top of the emotional scale would be things like love, joy, well-being, pure awareness. Yeah? Those blissed out, enlightened, emotionally absolutely open states are at the top. But if we can move in the direction of hope, and if we can anchor that hope, we can perhaps find it easier to move closer to the space of love, of joy, of well-being, of pure awareness. So, I think this week's spread is helping us to bring our attention to finding ways perhaps, or discovering possibilities for us to anchor hope, to ground ourselves in hope, to stabilize our feeling of hope, if that makes sense. Hopefully this week's spread will also give us some advice about that. And I think it will. I think we've got a pretty practically oriented spread this time around. Let's see if you'll agree with me. So, what are we going to do? First, I will show you the spread. We'll talk about the decks. Just in case you're new here, I will describe the spread, what the positions mean, if they mean anything at all. And then we'll break the spread into its two major component parts and read those parts together. Okay, friends? Are you all ready for this journey? Here we go. Here is the spread. Friends, you just saw the spread. And in case you're new here, you probably still noticed that there were two decks being used. Now, there were 6 cards in the center, which are from Pixie's Astounding Lenormand. It's a wonderful mass market deck. It comes in a tin. And if you want to get that deck for yourself, there will be a link to an Amazon page for you to order the deck. Or you can order it from any of your major booksellers, I believe. It's a very readily available deck, to my knowledge. And inexpensive. And in a nice protective tin. All wonderful things. And it also it doesn't have inserts for the playing cards, but it does have the name and suit of the playing card down at the bottom of the card, which is fairly easy to read. So, all of those things are wonderful. And those 6 cards are in what I call, or what many people call, an above-below spread. So the 3 cards on top give us where things are in our conscious sphere, and the 3 cards below give us what's below the conscious sphere, or something that will support the conscious sphere. And then there are 4 cards on the sides, right? Those 4 cards are from a redrawing of Pamela Coleman Smith's art by the wonderful, brilliant, creative Conrad Stein. And the name of this deck is called the C.S. Tarot. There are many iterations of this deck. Meaning that some of them are gilded, some of them are not gilded, some of them have amber backs, there are black backs, I believe, black or silver backs, and there are orange backs. Mine is amber, and it's wonderful playing cards. It's a print-on-demand deck. So I'll have a link to Make Playing Cards, Conrad Stein's shop on Make Playing Cards, and you can choose which version of the deck you want for yourself. I think he's also got a plastic version of the deck too, which is pretty awesome. If you want to take it out, you don't have to worry about the cards getting wet. They dry off, they wipe off. If you spill coffee on them, no problem. Yeah? So, a very durable deck. And those 4 cards are in what, for me, is an elemental positioning. So, the card in the upper left-hand corner for you is fire. The card in the lower right-hand corner for you is water. Now, fire is our passions, our creativity, our instinct and also inspiration. The water is our emotion, our love, our intuition, our unconscious. In the upper right-hand corner, we have air for our rational mind, our vision, our communication. And in the lower left-hand corner, we have the earth for our work, our health, our bodies, the resources we have to use. And I read those 4 cards in or with elemental dignities, which means that for each one of the elements, there is an element that is, well, it's the same. For example, the earth, and another earth card would be wonderful in that spot, yeah? A water card with earth, they are elementally well dignified, which means they feed each other, they build each other up, yeah? A fire card in the earth spot would be neutral. Yeah, they walk together comfortably. They don't build each other up. They don't tear each other down. They're okay. An air card in the earth spot would be what we call ill-dignified, which means that they fight. They sap power from each other. They make each other uncomfortable. So that's how we're going to read the spread. First, we'll look at the 6 cards in the setter, and then we'll look at the 4 cards around and read them with their elemental dignities. Okay, are you all ready? I hope I didn't confuse you. We'll move right on to the Lenormand part of the spread and read that together. Here are the cards. You just saw the 6 cards. On the top, from left to right, we had the clover, the birds, and the anchor above. Below that, from left to right, we had the lily, the tree, and the letter. Right? Now, when I look at the spread, first off, you probably already know this, I like to get a sense of how positive, negative the spread is. Some people think that that might be a foolish endeavor, but for me, it just helps me to as I sense what it is I'm looking at, give me something to focus my attention on, right? So, what do we have? We have clover, which is positive. Yeah, we have the birds, which are neutral, negative. Yeah, they're a little bit on the negative side. And we have the anchor, which is positive neutral. Now, more positive probably. In fact, some people might just say it's positive, but it can be neutral. Yeah, it can be something that weighs us down. So the negative neutral, positive neutral cancel each other out. So, but we have that positive clover card. It's not huge positive, but it's still positive. The top 3 cards seem positive. Now the bottom 3 cards, what do we get? We get the lily, which is positive neutral. We get the tree, which is, for me, positive neutral. And then the letter, which is just plain old neutral. So below, we've got positive leaning neutral there too. So overall, I think we've got a fairly positive spread here for us, which I think will help me, hopefully us, to feel our way through these cards. And we're going to start off with the 3 cards on the top, yeah? The clover, the birds, and the anchor. Now the clover, the birds, and the anchor. Okay, so what is clover? Clover. It's hard for me to break away from the idea of luck and fortune when it comes to clover, because apart from Lenormand, whenever I see a little field of clover, I immediately go to leprechauns and I go to looking for 4-leaf clovers for luck. I know other people have other ways of seeing clover, but for me, there are 2 purposes for clover. One is ground cover, which is a good thing, right? Clover will help land absorb carbon back into it. I mean, if we're going to look at it scientifically. But for me, as an icon, it's an icon of luck, of hope, of a little bit of my Irish roots. I have a little bit of Irish in me. And then the birds. What are birds? Birds are small. They twitter. They're flighty a little bit. They're beautiful, but especially the birds in Lenormand. Considering we have another bird called the stork in Lenormand, these birds are small. These are small. They're a little bit nervous. They're active, but they're also a little bit noisy, right? They're communicative. They chatter. And they also fly, and they can also be pairs, but we'll get to that in a minute. Anchor, what is that? That's what keeps us stable in the ocean, right? It's what anchors a ship in place wherever it wants to stay. So it's an image of stability. It's a little bit heavy, which leans us a little more towards the neutral side rather than the positive side. So it's a heavy thing, but it also keeps us where we want to be. And that's the direction I think we want to be looking at these three cards in. So let's start off with the clover, yeah? We got keywords like small luck. It's not like the Wheel of Fortune, or it's not like a big, what is it in Kipper? It's Hope, Great Water, or something like that. It's not that big fortune card like we find in Kipper. It's a little fortune, right? It's a little good luck. It's happiness. It can also be money. It's greenish. For those of us who live in countries where money is green, it's greenish. It can soften the negativity of cards around it a little bit. It can be for omens or blessings for some people. It can be synchronicities. But it's also hope. Now, like luck is hopeful, right? We hope for luck. And so maybe you get the idea of why I was going for anchoring hope already. Yeah, so if the clover is hope, it's not big hope. It's not hopes for millions of dollars and mansions, but it is hope. It's a small hope. But even a small bit of hope can be powerful. Now the next card, like I said, is the birds, right? And the birds can be a couple, could be siblings, it could be paired people. So maybe if this week you encounter somebody, soulmate or not, or a brother or a sibling or somebody who you feel partnered with, that person could be a source of good fortune and hope for you. Maybe. But there are other ways of looking at this card as well, right? On the negative side, it can be things like stress, anxiety. Like the birds are always, they're bouncing from one place to another and they look anxious, right? Sometimes. I mean, they could be sitting there content and maybe even sleeping, but when they're active, oftentimes they look a little bit anxious or nervous. Things are stirred up and maybe there's a need to calm down. Now that could be useful for us, right? We want to calm ourselves into our hope, right? We want calm hope rather than nervous hope, right? It can be noise, it can be gossip, but I don't think so here. It can be excitement. A little bit of hope can be exciting, right? It can be verbal communication, chatting, talking about things. Sometimes that can help us to expand, to increase, to stabilize our sense of hope if we talk about it, because if we talk about it, we're also giving attention to it, and where our attention goes, energy flows, and that energy increases the power of that thing. So if we talk about those feelings of hope or those things that inspire hope within us, that can help us a lot. So maybe we have a little bit of excitement because we have this feeling of a new feeling of hope. Maybe we can talk about it to help us to ground it. But we do want to ground it, right? Because the next card is the anchor. Now, the anchor can be things like work and routines. So, routinely talking about and giving attention to our hope can be helpful. Certainly. Yeah, this is where some people, I don't understand this, but some people put ancestors here, where our roots are. But for me, that's the tree. The tree would be where our roots are, where our ancestry is. And it's right next to the house, so that makes perfect sense to me. But some people say ancestors and roots for the anchor, but for me, I don't get it. But work, yes, for me, the anchor is work. It's the stability, routine, but it's also that sense of being, I want to say grounded, but stable in our hope, right? We want to move this hope, which might be a little bit excited but small. Remember this, the birds here are small. They're not the big bird of the stork. They're small birds. They're a little bit nervous. But they're also communicative. So maybe with our hope, right now feeling a little nervous, a little bit excited, but unstable, maybe talking about it, giving our conscious energy towards it will help it to grow. But we want it to be stabilized. We want to ground that hope. Does that make sense? Now we want it to be lasting. Now we can't expect it to be eternal, I don't think, because the moment we make that decision for ourselves, this hope is now eternal, it will never leave, it will very soon leave. Right? Because are demanding that eternalness for our hope is actually. Did you notice how my hand did this? Yeah? It's not an open gesture, right? I demand the eternalness, the lastingness for this hope is a closing off. And as soon as we start closing off, that hope will start to dissipate. Our ability to have access to the powerful current of intention will be reduced. Because we start clenching ourselves off, we start grasping at that hope. So, we don't want to grasp at it, we want to ground it. We want to, and do you notice the gesture I'm making here? We want to ground our hope. Openly. Right? Powerfully. Rather than clutching at it and saying it will never leave. If that makes sense. So, we've got 3 cards below. Let's see what's happening below the surface, yeah? The 3 cards below were the lily, the tree, and the letter. So what are they? What is a lily? A lily is a beautiful flower. It's got thick petals, right? Where the petals on a clover are thin, delicate. The petals of a lily, especially the flower, are thicker. They're more sensuous. To me, they're also used for things like funerals, but they're also used for things like weddings, for baptisms, because of their white. These are white, right? They're white color. Whereas clover and some other flowers bloom quickly and die quickly, the lily has more of a sense of maturity, right? It grows slowly and it opens slowly and it's large, right? So the lily can be things like sensuality or sex. Okay, if sex helps us to stabilize our hope. That's a wonderful thing. I'm not sure that the spread is talking about that, but if you can find a way to do that for yourself, more power to you. It can be a mature or older man or an older lover. It can be a man with gravitas. Because of it's the king of spades, right? It's the king of spades, which gives us that masculine, the male, not masculine, but maleness to this card. So it could be a man with gravitas who's able to advise us. Now, if we have somebody like that around us, that's a wonderful thing. It could be a mature lover. If we have a mature lover, male or female, that mature lover could help us to ground our hope in experience or with their experience, right? So if we have that kind of person available to us, wonderful. But I don't think this spread is necessarily pointing to that as being the only possibility. Having a grandfather, an elder there for us, or again, a mature lover, or just a mature man. It's also harmony, as well as sexuality and sensuality, and also maturity. And I think it's the maturity here that we're pointing towards. Harmonious maturity. And having mature harmony will, I think, be a wonderful platform to ground our feelings of hope. And speaking of grounding things, right, the next card is the tree, which is what? It's something that is rooted in the ground. It's stable. It's healthy, and it grows. It grows slowly, but it grows and continues growing over years and years and years and years. Sometimes centuries, depending on the tree. I don't think this is particularly that kind of tree on this card, but if we think of the redwoods in Northern California, for example, they've been around for centuries, many of them. So, there's that enduring quality of sustained health and growth. Not quick growth, but sustained and deep growth. It's life. Now, it can also be remember that story at the beginning of this video? It could be like a piece of wood. It could be something very literally a piece of wood. Just like the lily could be a literal lily. Maybe you're going to get a lily. I hope you do. I don't expect anyone to give me a lily anytime soon, but that would be cool. But this tree could also be something just literally like the wood, if that made sense for the reading. Or a forest, being out in the forest, being outdoors, where trees grow. Yeah, it could be body, mind, and spirit, because the tree has all of those things, right? The roots, the trunk being in the earthy, above earth sphere, and then the leaves being up in the air, right? Mind, body, spirit, all of those, the three parts of well-being and health. And trees start from very small things and grow to something big, right? Which I think gives a lot of strength to the lily card, right? So if we have maturity, what kind of maturity is it? It's the kind of maturity, it's the kind of harmony that doesn't appear, boom, in its fully manifested form. It's the maturity that grows over time, rooted in experience, and develops from something small. Remember the hope we had up at the top starts something small, with something small that we want to move to something anchored and grounded, right? So this card here reminds us that this maturity, this harmony, begins small and grows to something enduring. And it could be outdoors. It could be telling us to go outdoors to experience nature to help with that. And that could help, certainly. But whatever we want to do, we want to do it in such a way that our maturity and our sense of harmony below this level of hope, which we want to anchor, that will grow in a grounded sense, and expect it to take time. And this card was the card that really intrigued me. The letter. Now the letter, what is it? It's messages, right? They're written messages usually from one person to another. They travel. They move in time and space. They could be documents, they can be contracts. They move as a message slower than the writer moves as a message, but they do move. But I don't think movement really is the key, if you will, to this reading, right? We want this grounded harmony in the bottom, grounded harmony and maturity that grows over time. How? Maybe this card is, and I've never really read this way before, but maybe this card is suggesting journaling. Now, you might say, well, journaling, wouldn't that be the book? But the book is something to me which is printed, pre-printed, right? The letter can also be the act of writing the message. To who? To ourselves. Now, do the journaling, do the inventory, as some people call it. Do the writing that will help us develop our grounded maturity and harmony and sensuality. And if we do that as a practice, perhaps that information that we got on the top will be well supported and we will be able to ground our hope. And maybe some of that communication in the birds can be communication with ourselves. Never really thought about it that way before, but maybe that's possible. And how can we know if it's that message? Well, we've got a couple of other ways to read this spread to see if we can confirm or change the message. One of the ways is to read the columns, the vertical columns. So we'd start on the left with the clover and the lily. Let me get the clover and the lily out for us. The clover and the lily. So, what is that telling us? Well, for me, the clover, again, it's something small. It's hopeful, it's lucky. The lily, another plant below it, is more enduring. It's more lush. It's more harmonious. It's more mature. And it's bigger, right? So we want this little bitty hope, this little bitty luck can grow. It's growing luck. It's maturing hope. It's sensuous fortune. And maybe having our hope being a little bit more somatic, being more embodied, being more grounded in our physical experience of the world will be helpful for us. If that makes sense. Now, I don't think we want this hope to be because we want to ground it, right? We want to stabilize it. We don't want this hope to be a flighty, dreamy, I wish kind of thing, right? We want our hope to be grounded, to be somatized, I wonder if that's a word, to be brought into the body, to be embodied, to be incarnated. And I think that's also part of this combination of this, the hope, the fortune, the happiness, which is small, being embodied and felt physically, you know, as it also is maturing and it is finding harmony. And then the next two cards we had were these nervous birds which live in the card beneath it, the tree, right? Let me pick up the cards. Here we are. So above, we've got this verbal communication, excited, maybe nervous, maybe a little stressful, finding its home in the tree, right? These birds live in the tree, and when they get to the tree, oftentimes they'll still sing, they'll still talk, but they will be less bouncy around than they are when they're pecking at seeds on the ground, right? They go down, they peck, but they find their refuge, their safety in the tree. So, we want this excited, perhaps potentially nervous, but very communicative aspect of ourselves to find its comfortable, safe home. A grounded home, right? A safe place. A place where that's not safe from attack, we're not worried about that, but a place where we can feel more at ease. Like the lily. Yeah? And then we've got the next two cards of the anchor and the letter. So what is that telling us? It's telling us that our work, well, okay, so here we could put this into the anchor being that routine, that work. Our work is to write. So our work is to do the journaling, to do the writing, to get our thoughts out of the stratosphere and down into some level of manifestation. Focused, clear, more precise, more structured even, right? Because there's some structure in the tree too. Does that make sense? So I think these columns really do confirm, emphasize, strengthen the ideas we had from the two lines when we read above and below that we read separately. Now there's another way to read these sets of cards, and that is by a chevron or a V or an arrow. I like chevron, yeah? Chevron, that V shape. So we get two V's, right? From lower left, upper center, lower right, forming one V, and then from the upper left, lower center, upper right, forming a downward pointing V. So one V points up into the conscious and one V points down into below, right? So let's go to the one pointing up into the conscious first. We start off with the lily, and then the birds, and then the letter. So what? So what? So what? What is that telling us? The lily, the lily, the birds, and the letter. Okay, so this should be in correct order for you now. So what is this telling us? Well, the birds are the central card, right? The birds are the central card, so it's about communication. It's about chatter. And we want that chatter, that mind chatter perhaps, which can interfere with our hope. We want that to be harmonized, balanced, right? We want it to be more mature, ripened. We want it to ripen, to be more mature by writing it down, maybe. Maybe those things which can distract us from our attention to our hope can also be written down. Because once those those worries or the anxieties are written down, we can maybe just get them out of our minds and get them away, put them aside, right? I think we want to spend more time writing those things which will foster, which will bolster our hope. But maybe writing some of the chatter, the worries, the anxieties down so that we can move on can be helpful as well. Yeah? So, writing to find harmony, to find balance, I think is important to settling down that chatter, communication within ourselves. And then we got the chevron pointing down, right? So we start with the clover, then we have the tree, and then we have the anchor, right? So we got two plants and an anchor. So we got this little clover, this little bit of hope, this little bit of happiness and fortune, which we want to grow slowly over time. We want it to be rooted, and we want to feel like it will continue to grow and expand and be stable. So that is our deep desire, I think, that our feeling of hope, that little bit of luck and fortune gets grounded, gets stabilized, and becomes enduring, like the tree. And we know the way, and I think we know the way to do that. And it's really interesting. Because remember, I also read the numbers of these cards, the numbers of the insets. So on the top, we had the clover, which is the 6 of diamonds. Can you see that down there? The 6 of diamonds. Yeah, they got the 6 of diamonds down there. And then the tree is the, I'm sorry, no, what is next? Okay, so the next is the birds, which are the 7 of diamonds. Interesting. We go from the 6 to the 7. A little bit of expansion. The 7 of diamonds. Can you see that down there? The 7 of diamonds? Maybe not. And then the anchor is the 9 of spades. So 6, 7, and 9 all together give us 22, which is the crossroads, which is choice. So in our conscious sphere, to be able to do this, it's going to require a choice, our decision to focus on that hope so that it will grow and stabilize. It's not something that's just going to happen. We have to make a decision. We have to decide. And we got to do it now. We have to do this thing now before it disappears. Because this hope is without attention, without doing the thing that will ground it and stabilize it and make it less flighty, less nervous, less fleeting. Remember, hope is fleeting, like the birds. To make it less fleeting, we've got to make the decision now while it's here. Right? And then below, we had the lily, which is the king of spades. I already mentioned that. And then we had the tree, which is the 7 of hearts. Yeah? And then we had the letter, which is the 7 of spades. So, king, which is 13. 13 plus 7 gives us 27, which is what? Which is the bleeding letter, right? So it's our choice. We choose to write. Choose to write. Choose to journal. I think is the really powerfully strong message of this week's Lenormand spread. To get that hope grounded, choose to journal. Does that make sense to you? I hope it does. If it does not, let me know in the comments below. If it does, let me know in the comments below. I love to hear from you. I really, truly do love to hear from you. And friends, we have 4 cards from a tarot to read to see if it gives us more information, if it confirms our ideas, or if it maybe gives us some things to be careful of. Let's see what is happening in those cards. Here they are right now. Friends, Don't you love the art on this deck? It's one of my favorite redrawings. The line work is wonderful. I love the crackle background to the cards. They're just lovely, lovely, lovely deck. I'm so fortunate to have been pointed towards this deck by the wonderful Simon at the Hermit's Cave, because this is just one of my favorites. Okay, so we had 4 cards, right? In the upper left-hand corner, we had the 7 of Pentacles in fire. Yeah, they're neutral towards each other. Yeah, in the lower left-hand, I'm sorry. Okay, so let me start that again. In the upper left-hand corner, we had the 7 of Pentacles in fire. In the lower right-hand corner, we had the Ace of Cups in water. Cups in water, same suit, same element, all wonderful. In the upper right-hand corner, we had the Lovers in air. Now, the Lovers in air. And the Lovers are in this Golden Dawn tradition paired with Gemini. So that's an air sign. So that's perfect for air, right? Air and air. And then in the lower left-hand corner, in Earth, we had the 2 of Pentacles, Earth and Earth. Yeah? So you could say the only card that was not in its own suit was the Earth, the 7 of Pentacles in fire. I'm sorry, that would be here for you. The 7 of Pentacles in fire, but they're fine together. So there's nothing ill-dignified to any of these card placements. Nothing particularly well-dignified. They're all matchy-matchy, or else one is just neutral, right? So, but that's wonderful. That's a blessed spread, if you will. So let's start off with the fire, with the 7 of Pentacles. Love this card. What is that to me? Well, you see this guy standing there waiting for the pentacles to be ready to harvest, right? It's the waiting for things to mature. Did you hear that word? To mature? Yep. So in our fire, in our passions, this is not the time to get out there and do stuff, right? This is the time for having a long-term view. Creating sustainable results, perseverance. Keep doing what you're doing to get ready for the harvest, right? It could be investments or promotions. Could be financial responsibility, sure. But in this card, in this placement, in this spread, I think we're being patient. We're preparing for harvest. We are looking to develop our maturity. That's what we want to have in our gut, in our passions, right? And that is paired with its polar divergent partner, water, right? And in water we had the Ace of Cups, which is what? So in our emotions, in our intuition, in our love space, we've got the card for new relationships or love. But also compassion and creativity, of feeling abundance, of affirming things, of also feeling blessed, of feeling the blessings. So we've got a couple of ways to read this spread because of this card and because of the Lover's card. So, if in your experience you discover someone coming into your life that could be a new love, whether it's romantic love or platonic love, but someone with whom you feel an emotional connection, read that for you strongly. But for those of us who might not experience that in this week, we have another part of the message for us. Yeah? We have, from the fire, from being patient, from developing our maturity, we want to be feeling and intuiting the blessings that are around us. And feeling compassion for ourselves and others. and welcoming the blessing of the divine in our lives, which will help to do the work of grounding and expanding and maturing the hope that we might be feeling, right? And then, up in the air, we've got the Lover's card, which can be love, right? It can be a harmonious relationship, right? We want to, if we have that new spark of love, if we have that new relationship entering our lives, we want to place our minds in the space of enduring, loving relationships. Partnership, right? We want our values and our passions aligned as well. So in our headspace, that might be something, if we don't have a lover entering our lives or a new platonic partner entering our lives, we still want to have in our headspace, in our minds, the attention to aligning our values with what we want to do. As we mature our passions in the fire with having a long-term view, we want to make sure that long-term view is aligned with our values. But we also want to make choices, right? We have that idea, choose to write our journals, right? So this could be the card to say, look, make the choice. Choose to do the thing that is going to be beneficial for us. And now we move from the head space into the earth space. And you noticed, right? We have 2 pentacles in these 4 cards. We had 2 pentacles. We have 1 cup and 1 major arcana. The 3 minor arcana cards, the 7 of pentacles, the 2 of pentacles, the ace of cups, they're all receptive. Right? We don't have the wands and we don't have the swords here, which are more active suits. We have the more receptive. So as we move into our manifest form here with the earth section, we recognize and we recall that this is a time of receptivity for us. And what do we want to do in the earth section? Well, the 2 of pentacles. What do we see here? We see the guy juggling 2 pentacles, right? So this is a card of doing things like managing our time, managing our priorities, prioritization, prioritizing, perhaps doing the work of making the choice that will stabilize and give enduring qualities to our development of hope, of blessings, right? It can be multitasking, but personally, I don't believe multitasking is ever a good choice, right? We want to go into the direction of management, balance, juggling our possibilities in a positive sense, not in a sense of panic of, oh my God, what's going to happen if one of these fall, but doing so with ease, with comfort, with trust, being adaptable to circumstances, and flowing with the ever-changing environments that we are navigating, right? Just like the boats back here. Do you see the boats in the background of the guy with the juggling the 2 pentacles? Yeah, they are navigating potentially rough seas, but they're navigating the environment that they're in at the moment, knowing that they're going in the direction they want to go in. And that's part of the maturing process. That's part of the grounding of our hope, of our sense of blessing, of our sense of growth in the intentional life, if you will. So I think these 4 cards really do strengthen the message of in the fire, right? Our sense of perseverance, having a long-term view of patience, plus development of what we have. As in our emotional sphere, we give attention to our love, yes, and to the blessings that are here with us, and to our feelings of being blessed. And if that includes a partner coming into our lives, that's wonderful. As we, in our mental sphere, as we place our attention on love and harmony, but also making the choice, choosing to do the thing that will strengthen, that will stabilize, that will ground. Again, the hope, the blessings that we have as our potential. As we do the work of juggling the things that we are doing to be able to make the choice to do the work of doing the writing. Yeah? I think that's where this spread is directing us. And hopefully you will find a way to juggle all the things you're doing now and find a way to choose to clear space and time out to do a little bit of journaling on a regular basis, to be able to ground that hope and grow it over time. Now, part of me wants to... No, I'm not going to change the title. No, we're going to keep it as it is. Yeah? Keep it as it is. Anchoring hope. Okay, friends, here we are at the end. Thank you. Thank you for doing all the things. Thank you for hitting the thumbs up button. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for commenting. If you want a reading from me, my email address is below, thehangedmaninthemoon@gmail.com. Shoot me an email, we'll get you a reading. Whatever kind of reading you want, a big one, a small one, your choice. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.